Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. Falling Down is a 1993 American psychological thriller film that was directed by Joel Schumacher. It was written by Abby Rose Smith and was released by Warner Brothers on February 26, 1993. The movie stars Michael Douglas in the lead role, with Robert Duvall, Barbara Hershey, Frederick Forrest, and Tuesday Weld in supporting roles. The movie received mixed to positive reviews on its release, and it grossed $96 million against a $25 million budget, taking the top spot at the United States box office in its first 2 weeks of release. The storyline is about a middle-aged man dealing with both unemployment and divorce. William Foster, played by Michael Douglas, is having a bad day. When his car breaks down on an LA highway, he leaves his vehicle and begins a trek across the city to attend his daughter's birthday party. As he makes his way through the urban landscape, his frustration and bitterness become more evident, resulting in violent encounters with a variety of people, including a vengeful gang and a dutiful veteran cop played by Robert Duvall. The project was filmed in various locations in Linwood, California, all during the 1992 Los Angeles riots. By April 30th, the riots were sufficiently disruptive to force filming to stop early on that day. Film crews then had to produce more footage inside Warner Brothers' studio in Burbank as the riots continued. By May 4th, when the crew intended to resume filming in Pasadena, their initial requests to do this were denied, causing more delays. Filming wrapped in late June of '92. In an interview less than a week before the film's release, the screenwriter Abby Rose Smith gave his interpretation of what the movie was about. He said to him, even though the movie deals with complicated urban issues, it's really about one basic thing. The main character represents the old power structure in the U.S. that has now become archaic and hopelessly lost. For both of them, it's a just or die time. The signature haircut that Michael Douglas wears was the idea of Joel Schumacher and the movie's hairstylist. Douglas went on to comment on how this really helped him get into the character of a veteran of the military or defense industry. He said it gave him the feeling of the late 50s and early 60s, and it made him think that that character came from a different time, and that he wished and hoped for another time when things made sense to him. He went on to comment about the character that there are a lot of people who are a paycheck away from being on the streets and being out of work, who did everything right. They've been responsible, they've tried hard, and they just don't know what went wrong. Douglas also considers this one of his favorite performances of all the movies that he's been in. During the famous Whammy burger scene, Dee Dee Pfeiffer, as Sheila, had a hard time staying in character after Foster pulls out a firearm, as his lines afterward kept making her giggle and laugh. If one looks closely at her face as she's handing Rick the burger before the camera pans to Douglas, talking to the scared customers, you can see she's smiling. This Whammy burger scene was filmed at a real-life restaurant that's called Angelo's Burgers, located in Linwood, California. It was then dressed up to look like the fictional restaurant in the movie. Joel Schumacher envisioned his friend Michael Douglas in the lead role once he was made aware of the script. However, Douglas planned to take a break from acting, as he had just done 2 films back-to-back and desired to spend some time with his family. Douglas did agree to read the script after Schumacher's urging, and that was really all it took. Once he knew how good the script was, he signed on. The presence of him being such a popular actor as the lead allowed the film to get a much higher budget, and Douglas, believing the film to be very important, agreed to take a much lower salary so the film could also have more money to be made. He plays a character that's referred to as being in his late 30s, but Michael Douglas was 48 at the time the film was shot in 92. The opening scene of the film, in which Douglas is stuck in gridlock traffic on a freeway, took an entire day to shoot. And in one scene, Douglas's character says golf courses are a waste of space and that golf is for old men with nothing better to do. Ironically, Michael Douglas is an avid golfer in real life. The two bags that his character carries act as metaphors. The briefcase represents his responsible side, while the gym bag, filled with guns, represents his turn to disorganization and violence. You'll notice he had the opportunity to give up one of the bags to the bum, and he ultimately gives up his old life by giving up the briefcase. The not economically viable man outside the bank is not only wearing the identical outfit that Michael Douglas's character is, but he also yells out that he was a customer of that particular bank for 7 years. The Michael Douglas character also reveals in the Whammy burger scene that he worked for his boss, presumably the one that fired him for 7 years, making these two characters have a whole lot in common. Late in the film, both Michael Douglas and Tuesday Weld are bleeding in two separate scenes. Douglas because he has cut his hand on barbed wire, and Weld after the cat scratched her hard, causing her to bleed. Now, speaking of Tuesday Weld, she's one of those Hollywood stars that you could write book upon book about because of the craziness involved in her career from the very start, from the time she was a kid. While modeling in L.A., Tuesday's mom and the people around her began to market her in very cringeworthy ways. The studio's publicity department even made up disturbing quotes, such as her saying that she never wears underwear, and she likes it that way because it's much warmer with nothing on. Her off-screen behavior only heightened these crazy perceptions of the girl. She was a tabloid magnet, raising eyebrows and rousing suspicion. It's fun to see her in this role, though, because she's grown up, and it seems like a totally different character than her early movies. Go back and take a look at this really good film from '93. It's a good one. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.